Anything physical that is manufactured by man is clearly made by men. So that has absolutely nothing to do with an imaginary God. Absolutely nothing. Your God is fictional, imaginary, and as far as I'm concerned, does diddly squat.
Are you done with your...
I'm just
answer?
saying,
Okay.
you're pointing to man-made things that we all know is made by man.
How do
What's
you know?
that got to do with a God?
Okay, are you done? Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now it's your turn.
How do you know man made this? Prove it.
Well, I could take you to the factory. I could
Where-
take you to the designer.
take me.
I
Let's
could take
go.
you.
The designer for this phone, have you ever met him?
What's that got to do with it?
Meaning, you're saying this is designed without any evidence that you're bringing forward.
You've got the evidence in your hand
How is that evidence that this is designed?
because there's no other way it could exist without somebody designing
Why not?
it. Because man designed it.
You just proved my point.
No, I
There is
haven't.
no way that
I've
this
said-
could... Can I finish? Now you're interrupting me, right? You just said that this is the evidence that there's a designer. This is amazing.
Yes.
Let me speak now, okay? You spoke, I listened, I was
agreeing
polite.
with you.
Thank you. You just said this is the evidence that there is a designer without ever seeing a design, without ever seeing the designer. Something unseen you believe because of this. Well, if that's true, then you are the evidence that there is a creator.
My mother created me with my father.
Your mother did not create you.
Yes, she
Your
did.
mother gave birth to you. She didn't design you. She didn't
created
design
me
your
in
brain.
9 months.
I will
She
let you.
created me from a single cell.
I will let you finish.
She created me from a single cell in 9 months.
Are
That's
you-
pretty
are you-
amazing.
Are you done speaking?
Yeah, now you can.
Okay.
Now you can have a go.
Thank you. Your mother didn't create you, she gave birth to you. She didn't design your lungs. She didn't even know what you would look like. She didn't know if you were going to be whole when you were born. She didn't know what color eyes you would have. She didn't know what gender you were. She gave birth to you. That's like saying a factory designed the phone. No, a factory produces the phone. It doesn't design it. Your creator designed you. Who made your heart? Who made the functionality for your kidneys to work and cleanse your urine? It's not your mother that sat there and put those programs.
Well,
Who
it's
made
not-
your...
it's not your
Can I
claim
finish?
either.
Can I finish?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Now, your statement that this by itself is the evidence that there is a creator, a designer, proved my point. The evidence of you standing here and your functionality is evidence that there is a designer and a creator, and it's not your mother.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah. Amma ba'd. Teman-teman, di zaman ini banyak sekali syubhat-syubhat atau pemahaman-pemahaman yang nyimpang yang tersebar di media sosial. Tapi penyimpangan itu nggak banyak orang yang sadar kalau itu kesesatan. Karena kebanyakan masyarakat di Indonesia ini awam dalam memahami agama. Salah satu pemikiran yang sangat berbahaya di zaman ini adalah pemahaman ateisme. Mengapa saya bilang berbahaya? Karena pemahaman ini menyebar di kalangan anak-anak muda dan sangat masif penyebarannya. Pemahaman ini bisa membuat kaum muslimin murtad dari Islam karena pemahamannya itu yang awalnya dia percaya adanya Tuhan. Jika dia mengikuti kajian-kajian ateis atau doktrin-doktrin ateis, kaum muslimin ini sedikit demi sedikit akan hilang kepercayaannya terhadap Tuhan. Mungkin juga karena penyebarnya adalah anak-anak muda juga yang aktif di media sosial, dan seringkali orang-orang awam itu nggak sadar ya kalau mereka ini digiring kepada pemahaman yang sesat. Nah, anehnya orang yang mengaku ateis ini atau agnostik ini, ketika mereka membantah persoalan agama, pasti akan menyasar kepada agama Islam. Mungkin nggak semua ya, tapi saya sering menjumpai orang-orang seperti ini, baik di medsos atau teman sendiri. Seperti yang dilakukan komika yang bernama Coki, mungkin kalian juga tahu ya. Orang ini sering kali menghina agama Islam, tetapi kepada agama sebelah orang ini terlihat akrab. Dimana saya tahu dia akrab? Kalian bisa cek jejak digitalnya kalau dia pernah mengisi acara di suatu gereja. Ya padahal dia ini sok mengaku ateis ya. Dan juga saya punya pengalaman dengan orang yang saya kenal ya. Orang ini mengaku ateis tetapi KTP-nya Islam. Sering sekali orang ini menghina pemahaman Islam, dan anehnya orang ini sangat akrab dengan agama Kristen. Buktinya orang ini ketika hari raya orang Kristen, orang ini selalu ikut merayakannya. Mungkin lebih tepatnya mereka ini Islamophobia ya, bukan ateis. Seharusnya kalau mereka mengaku ateis, mereka adil dalam membantah. Bantah juga dong agama-agama lain seperti Kristen, Buddha, Hindu, dan yang lain-lain. Jangan hanya Islam. Padahal kalau mereka mau bahas agama lain, banyak banget hal yang nggak logis dalam ajaran agama lain. Misalnya mengkeramatkan sapi, sampai-sampai kotorannya pun dikeramatkan. Ada juga yang menyembah Tuhan yang dilahirkan, dan ada juga yang menyembah patung. Padahal kita tahu ya kalau patung ini nggak bisa jawab pertanyaan. Tapi apa? Yang sering saya lihat di media sosial, orang yang mengaku ateis ini selalu menghina pemahaman Islam. Dan contoh yang lain selain Coki, ada lagi yang katanya ex-muslim, bernama Humaila Hakimah ya. Selain ex-muslim, dia juga ex-ODGJ, yang kalau kita lihat kontennya, bahasannya selalu menghina Islam. Dan setelah saya ikuti beberapa videonya, kesimpulannya pemahamannya dia ini mirip ateis, karena dia ini meyakini bahwa para nabi itu mitologi. Tapi kalau kita perhatikan di konten-kontennya, dia ini selalu memojokkan agama Islam. Ya kebanyakan lah. Nah, salah satu argumen utama yang sering disampaikan oleh orang ateis adalah bahwa tidak ada bukti empiris atau ilmiah yang dapat membuktikan keberadaan Tuhan. Mereka berpendapat bahwa klaim-klaim agama tentang Tuhan dan hal-hal supranatural lainnya harus didasarkan pada bukti yang dapat diuji. Padahal nih ya, kalau mereka mau mikir sedikit aja, bukti keberadaan Tuhan ini sangat-sangat jelas dan nyata. Contohnya alam semesta ini. Mereka menganggap kalau alam semesta ini ada karena kebetulan. Aneh kan? Dan nggak logis. Padahal rata-rata mereka ini mengaku orang yang ilmiah. Di sini saya mau ajak berpikir deh. Apakah kursi atau meja bisa diciptakan secara kebetulan? Kalian taruh nih ya beberapa bahan-bahan seperti kayu, paku, palu, apakah bisa menjadi kursi atau meja dengan sendirinya dalam kurun waktu berjuta-juta tahun misalnya? Tentu aja enggak kan, dan enggak logis. Pasti lo bakal bilang ya harus ada yang buat meja atau kursi dulu. Sama aja dengan alam semesta ini, yang sangat kompleks daripada meja dan kursi, seperti bergantinya siang dan malam secara teratur, dan makhluk hidup yang mengisi planet ini pun sangat beragam dan sempurna. Gak mungkin alam semesta ini ada dengan sendirinya dalam kekosongan. Bisa nggak Anda membuat kursi dari kekosongan? Artinya nggak ada bahan apapun yang lo pakai. Tentu aja enggak kan. Lo harus pakai bahan dasar kayu gitu kan. Tetapi Allah Tuhan semesta alam tentu bisa menciptakan alam semesta ini dari kekosongan. Nah, ini tuh jawaban yang sangat logis ya, dibanding alam semesta terjadi secara kebetulan. Baik teman-teman, kali ini kita akan menyaksikan video debat seorang ateis dan Syekh Utsman, di mana percakapannya orang ateis ini meminta bukti keberadaan Tuhan dan dibantah telak oleh Syekh Utsman. Ya, siapa tahu aja dari percakapan ini kalian yang ngerasa ateis bisa tercerahkan. Baik teman-teman, kita langsung aja simak sama-sama videonya.
Sure there's no God.
Active atheist.
Active atheist. I like that.
An anti-theist.
An anti-theist. So you're 100% sure there's no God.
No,
But that's what an atheist
I didn't
is.
say, no, it isn't.
But then you're agnostic.
And an atheist, no. I'm
Uh-huh.
not an agnostic. I'm
Okay.
You see, everybody wants to label everything. I don't believe there's a God. I don't believe there's any God.
Okay, but are you sure there's no God?
No, I'm not sure.
Okay, so you're not sure then.
Well, I can't be sure.
Okay, so then just say I don't know.
There's no way.
Uh-huh.
There's no way. Well, as far as I'm concerned,
Okay.
all the evidence points.
What evidence?
What evidence?
What evidence?
Lack of evidence of a God.
Well, that's not evidence. Lack of evidence is not evidence, right?
Well, okay.
You said
look,
all
we
the.
can play semantics
No,
all you like.
we're not playing semantics. You said all the evident points.
Show me your God exists.
I got you. I'll get to that. Now, relax. I got you. Do you think this is our first rodeo?
No.
All right. Good.
This
So,
is-
but hold on. Let's set something. When you speak, I'll listen. When I speak, you listen. How's that?
Yeah, just
Makes
like
sense?
on your YouTube videos.
Have you seen the videos?
I've seen many.
Oh, right. So you said all the evidence points towards, but then when I asked you for the evidence, you said the lack of evidence. So I just want to be clear that saying you have evidence
Well,
of somebody not having evidence is not evidence. Meaning,
Okay,
if somebody... Can I
Sorry.
finish?
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
sure,
Sorry.
sure.
So, for example, if I say all the evidence points towards you being the murderer, and they say, hey, where's the evidence? I say, well, there's lack of evidence he's not the murderer. That's not evidence. Okay, is that
Fair enough.
Fair enough? Thank you. Okay, so you said you're not sure if there's a God.
well, I can't be 100% sure.
Okay. Do you have a percentage how sure you are?
I would say 99%.
So you're 99% sure there's no God.
Well, if he wants to turn up, I'll welcome him with open arms.
I'm glad. Okay. So
Simple.
okay, I just want to first understand because
I wouldn't. If a
I'm
God
going to
was
listen to
there-
you first.
If a God was there, he can show himself to me anytime he wants.
Oh, like a servant, like he'll just show up because he needs you.
Sorry? Because he needs
God,
me.
God doesn't need you. He doesn't need to show himself to
How
you.
do you know that?
Let me tell you, okay?
Did he tell you that? Did he whisper that in your shell light?
No, he did.
Right, so how do
He
you
did
know
reveal that in his book that was revealed to his prophet, that he is not in need of anybody. He is Samad. Samad means the one that is not in need of anybody, and everybody's in need of him. Okay.
Well,
Can I
just add to that?
Let me let you
see,
speak.
When you talk,
Okay.
you cover many subjects.
I
And
haven't.
hang on.
You asked
let
me a
just
question.
say,
Okay, go ahead.
If you say something and I let it go, then I can't challenge it later because you've moved on to another 14th subject.
Okay.
So if I stop you just intermittently, just to clarify a point, but if
Right.
you'd rather I didn't, I won't.
So when you mentioned a few things that I wanted to respond to, I let
Yeah.
you finish, because if I interrupt you, then it cuts off what you're. If I don't listen to you, then we can't have a productive conversation.
Okay,
right?
we'll
You asked
go by
me.
your rules.
These are rules of courtesy. If you don't want to go by them, we can interrupt each other all day, right? That's okay. But that's not going to be fruitful, right?
course
So
not.
when you asked me a question, did God
Yeah.
tell you? So I was just responding. I wasn't
Okay.
changing the subject or any of that.
Yeah.
Now, when I speak to a lot of atheists, agnostics, they give me different belief systems. Earlier, you were a very active atheist. You said God doesn't exist. Then when I asked you, are you sure? Then you said I can't be sure. Then you were like, I'm not 100% sure. Then you came back with 99.9%, right? Okay. So my first question to you, just to understand like where you come from, we're not even getting into whether God exists or not, is there's a huge universe out there, right?
Sure.
And a lot of knowledge out there, right? Yes or no?
A lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
When you say knowledge, who has the knowledge?
Different
just
people have
clarify?
knowledges.
Oh, you
people
mean throughout the world, you mean?
throughout the world, through the
Sure.
universe, through the galaxies,
Well, we
through.
don't know that there's anything living outside.
But there are things.
known.
I mean, I'm not saying living things, but there is things to discover and know in the universe, right? That's why we send satellites, black matter
Yeah.
or dark matter, and how it works,
Yeah,
and
but I wouldn't
black
say,
holes,
I
right?
wouldn't necessarily say there's knowledge out there. There's knowledge to be had out there.
So let me explain this. For example, a black hole, right? They do exist, right?
So we're told.
I mean,
I've never
do you-
seen one.
Do you believe in that or no? I mean, those images the scientists show us are fake, or?
No, I think they. I think they probably do.
You're not sure about a lot of things.
Well,
I mean, the evidence that you've
I'm
seen
not-
about the existence of black holes, do you believe there is such a thing? Or that's like a fabrication from NASA, the world is flat and they're lying to us?
no,
right?
I don't think it's a fabrication. I
Okay.
don't think they're lying.
So they do exist.
I can't say that they do.
So those pictures that NASA shows us are of what?
Well, do they actually picture a black hole?
Well, that's what they say, that this is what a black hole looks like. Okay, do you believe galaxies exist?
Well, we're told they do.
Are we being lied to?
I don't know.
There's definitely pictures of galaxies, right? The
Sure,
Milky Way?
They probably do. I don't think we're being lied to.
Okay. So,
But I can't look.
hold on. I haven't even got to the
questions.
My question
without-
isn't even there yet.
Okay.
I just want to understand because my question is really that there is a lot of things that we don't know about yet.
Sure.
Okay.
We know
How much-
a fraction of.
How much of everything that there is to know
Yeah.
in the universe do you think you know personally?
Oh, less than 0.0001%.
So that's really funny that you know less than 0.0001%
Yeah.
of what's out there, but you're 99.999% sure that there's no God. Which
Pretty
just
sure,
tells
yeah.
me
What does it
that
tell
you think you know more than you do, right? Because
If that's
there,
your opinion,
can
that's fine.
can I finish?
sure.
Thank you. Okay.
No problem.
The reason being, if, for example, and I'm not even getting into why I believe in God or why I know there's existence of God, I'm just saying, it just shows your mindset that knowing 0.001%,
Well, there's
knowing
a lot
that,
to know out
oh
there.
man, this is
This
great.
is a lot
man.
to know out
So are we
there.
gonna stop the interruptions at some time?
okay,
or-
go on.
All right, thank you. So now, if there is so much to know out there,
Yeah.
then how can you be 99.999% sure there's no God out there? when you only know 0.0001%?
Well, yeah, okay.
Good point. Thank
Fine.
you. All right, let me ask you something. Where did life come from?
We don't know.
We don't know. Do you have any ideas?
No.
You have no idea at all? Ever study the theory of evolution?
Sure.
Okay, so then you have some idea. You just said
Well,
you have no idea, right?
Yeah, but you've asked two different questions. Do I believe in evolution? Yes.
Okay, I asked you where does life
I believe
come
things
from?
evolved.
Hold on.
Evolution is about things that have evolved.
Okay, I'm listening to you respectfully.
They already exist, they
Okay.
just evolved.
Okay.
You've introduced the existence of something.
I didn't introduce anything. Did I introduce something? Or did I just ask you a question?
Well, you
Did
said,
I introduce
where
something?
You said, where did life come
That's a
from?
question. That's not an
You said,
introduction.
where did life come from?
Yes, that's a question.
Evolution doesn't tell you where life came from.
Okay. Does it tell you
So
where
you've asked two
species...
different questions.
Hold on. Even if you say I asked two different questions, I didn't introduce anything. I just asked you two questions.
Okay.
Okay? Now, where did life come from? Where did it develop from? Where did it begin from? Where did it evolve from? The theory of evolution definitely has theories about it, right?
Well, you've asked several different questions in that one sentence.
Okay, my
So
question
can you be
is...
more specific?
Yes. Does the theory of evolution talk about how life developed on Earth?
It talks about how it's developed, yes.
Okay. Do you believe in that?
Yes.
100%?
Yes.
Okay. According to the theory of evolution, how did the first living cell develop?
They don't actually, well, the cells, they're not 100% sure.
Really? Are you
As far
sure
as
they
I
don't know?
No, I'm not sure.
Have you studied it?
Not in depth.
But you believe it in 100%.
Oh, I didn't even know something.
That's interesting,
believe in
right?
I believe-
So, can I say
I
something
believe in
now?
evolution.
You said you believe in the theory of evolution 100%,
Yeah.
and you haven't even studied it. You can't even explain it.
Well,
Isn't that interesting? Isn't it though? You see, you have blind faith, basically, then, in a
Okay,
theory
if you
which you
say-
have no evidence for.
if you say I have blind faith, fine.
Yeah? Oh,
I
so,
have
so you
blind
have
faith.
blind faith.
Okay.
Okay. I would then ask you, the first living cell would have to have a minimum set of genetics. It's called the minimum gene concept. Have you ever heard about it?
Yeah.
You have? Okay, good. So how many genetics must be there for the minimum set for a single cell basic living organism to survive?
I'm not 100% sure.
So you don't know about it then?
Well, I'm not a doctor, and
Oh,
I'm not a scientist,
I'm not a doctor
and I'm
either,
not a
okay.
biologist.
But I
and
do
I'm not-
read, so.
Yeah,
Now,
okay, fine.
there is theorized that the minimum would be 200. In a clinical trial, and you can go home and look this up, around 300 something genetics had to have been in place for the minimum single cell organism to survive.
Okay.
So who put those there?
Well, that's a leading question. Who?
That's a question.
Well, I would say what put it there.
Okay, what put it there?
I don't know. Do you?
You don't know. I do, but let's
But you say it's a who.
Oh, I believe it's a who.
Well, you believe it's a who, and you can't demonstrate it's a who.
Well, I can, but we'll get to
How
that.
do you do that?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
So the question there gets to be
Yeah.
that the first living cell, if it had to have a minimum set of genetics, it could not have evolved from less than it. So the theory of evolution that you believe in 100% just fell apart. Because how did it evolve to have those minimum set of genetics if it could not survive without it, and it could not have been a living cell without it?
Well,
Go ahead.
I don't think they're absolutely sure how.
So the thing you're...
Science doesn't actually say they know how life started.
Okay,
You say you know how life started.
I do.
You say it was a God that did it.
I didn't say that. Did you just put words in my mouth?
Oh, okay. Then
Did I say that?
Does anybody say that?
People say that, but if you're talking about me, let me tell you what I believe.
Okay.
Don't put your ideas into me, okay? Now, let's go back to the minimum gene concept, okay? So the theory of evolution that you believe in 100% cannot answer how the first living cell had that minimum set of
Correct.
genetics already. So that means...
I'm agreeing with you.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Okay. So that
I'm
means
saying-
that theory is incorrect because it is
Doesn't make it
proven.
incorrect.
I'll let you speak. You let me speak? Okay. The theory is that things evolve from what is less than it. The living cell could not have evolved without having the minimum set of genetics. This is something we can prove in a clinical trial.
Okay.
So then the theory
I'm not
is
disputing
wrong. So then the theory is wrong
What's your point?
because the point is the theory of evolution is proven wrong by this. And I just explained how.
Yeah, okay, fine, if that's what you believe.
No, it's not what I believe. It's what we can prove in a clinical trial. It's not blind faith like yours. I'm basing my opinion on something you can actually prove in a clinical trial, unlike the theory of evolution, which we have never been able to prove in a controlled environment clinical trial. I work in the med device industry. I work with scientists. I work with clinical trials. I'm not just coming at this from blind faith. I'm bringing evidences. So the theory of evolution that you said you believe in 100% has been proven wrong. Agreed?
Look, can I answer now?
Please.
Whether what I say is right or wrong, you still haven't proven that a God exists.
Okay. So you want to get past the fact that
I'm simply saying prove your God
okay,
exists.
great.
You know, we can play.
Do you want me to speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, because I want to be respectful. I want to listen to you first. So if you have more to say, I'm going to listen.
No, you continue.
Okay. Now, I believe that there is a creator that created the universe, that created the galaxies, that created everything that's in existence, that is ever living from the beginning, from the... Okay?
I understand that.
I don't believe God needs to show me his face. That God is not in
I
debt.
understand that.
All right, thank you. Let me just continue what I'm saying. You don't have
I'm
to.
just agreeing with
All
you.
right, thank you. I appreciate that. You're a great person to have a kind of, you're very polite. I like it. Okay, so I believe there is a great creator. I believe that creator is greater than all of us, and he's not in need of any of us, right? That creator doesn't need to follow my rules. I can't tell God, yo, if you want me to believe in you, show me your face. That's not the way it works. I am the one that's in need of God. When I get sick, he's the one that cures me. I'm not the one that cures him. He doesn't need my worship. He doesn't need me to believe in him or not believe in him. My belief in him or no belief in him doesn't harm or benefit him, and he's the great creator. It harms and benefits me. So for my own salvation, for my own good life in this world and the hereafter, I have to research. Now, I believe that great creator shows us miracles every day. When the sun rises, when the moon sets, when a child is born, I believe that's miraculous. For example, when a mother has no milk in her chest, a woman regularly, she doesn't have milk. But when she gets pregnant, there is milk in the chest. I believe that's miraculous. It shows design. It's something amazing, something that could not happen without a creator designing it. Because if you look at the theory of evolution and the idea that there is natural selection, you would have to have a need for something to be then randomly changed and chosen for survival. But if there was certain species that didn't have a mother feeding them milk before surviving, then there would be no point in getting milk. And if there wasn't,
And there would be no species.
and there would be no species.
Absolutely.
So then life wouldn't exist. So I believe that the creator is the one that gives us that beautiful design that the body, without any warning, without any company, without any person, without McDonald's and without Google and without Starbucks, boycott, right? Without any of that, milk appears in the chest of a woman when there is a need. I believe that's amazing. Now, that's something we can see that could not be without a designer. Just like this camera or this phone has intelligent design, you are more intelligent than that. You have eyes that see better than a camera. You have a mind smarter than Siri.
The camera sees better than I do.
I would disagree with that, and let me explain that, okay? For example, if I take the camera out right now, depth perception of that camera is not as good as your eye. Even the camera is designed after the eye, because there would be no concept of a camera if it wasn't your eye. That camera, if it cracks, it goes.
Camera
Right?
doesn't have a blind spot.
Cameras have more than one blind spot. Right now, that camera is looking at me and you. None of what's behind it can be seen. The eyes have more vision than that camera. But again, you know that the human body is more complex than an iPhone. It's more complex than a Samsung phone. It's more complex than a car. And none of those things could be brought into existence without a designer, without a creator, without a manufacturer, without a factory. You know that.
Yeah,
So that is a
don't dispute
clear,
that.
good. So that is a clear evidence that you don't dispute that there is a creator.
No,
Of course.
No.
You just agreed.
I said,
Uh-huh.
see,
Go
I
ahead.
said that physical things that we have
Are you physical?
is all. Now you're interrupting me.
Oh, I'm sorry, just asking. I want to
No,
be clear.
do
Okay.
you want to keep
Continue.
interrupting me?
Nope.
But you can if you want.
I'd rather
If
not.
that's the way you'd rather do it.
I'd listen to you.
Okay, fine. I'm saying anything physical that is manufactured by man is clearly made by men. So that has absolutely nothing to do with an imaginary God. Absolutely nothing. Your God is fictional, imaginary, and as far as I'm concerned, does diddly squat.
Are you done with your...
I'm just
Answer.
saying,
Okay.
you know, you're pointing to man-made things that we all know is made by man.
How do you
What's
know?
that got to do with a God?
Okay, are you done? Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now it's your turn.
How do you know man made this? Prove it.
Well, I could take you to the factory. I could
Where-
take you to the designer.
take me.
I
Let's
could take
go.
you.
The designer for this phone, have you ever met him?
What's that got to do with it?
Meaning, you're saying this is designed without any evidence that you're bringing forward.
You've got the evidence in your hand
How is that evidence that this is designed?
because there's no other way it could exist without somebody
Why not?
designing it. Because man designed it.
You just proved my point.
No, I
There is
haven't.
no way that
I've
this
said-
could. Can I finish? Now you're interrupting me, right? You just said that this is the evidence that there's a designer. This is amazing.
Yes.
Let me speak now. Okay, you spoke. I listened. I was
agreeing
polite.
with you.
Thank you. You just said this is the evidence that there is a designer without ever seeing a design, without ever seeing the designer. Something unseen you believe because of this. Well, if that's true, then you are the evidence that there is a creator.
My mother created me with my father.
Your mother did not create you.
Yes, she
Your
did.
mother gave birth to you. She didn't design you. She didn't
created
design
me
your brain.
In 9
She,
months.
I will
She
let you.
created me from a single cell.
I will let you finish.
She created me from a single cell in 9 months.
Are
That's
you-
pretty
are you-
amazing.
Are you done speaking?
Yeah, now you can.
Okay.
Now you can have a go.
Thank you. Your mother didn't create you, she gave birth to you. She didn't design your lungs. She didn't even know what you would look like. She didn't know if you were going to be whole when you were born. She didn't know what color eyes you would have. She didn't know what gender you were. She gave birth to you. That's like saying a factory designed the phone. No, a factory produces the phone. It doesn't design it. Your creator designed you. Who made your heart? Who made the functionality for your kidneys to work and cleanse your urine? It's not your mother that sat there and put those programs.
Well,
Who
it's
made
not-
your...
it's not
Can I,
your
can I
claim
finish?
either.
Can I finish?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Now, your statement that this by itself is the evidence that there is a creator, a designer, proved my point. The evidence of you standing here and your functionality is evidence that there is a designer and a creator, and it's not your mother. Now, let's talk about, thank you. Let's talk about evidence. There is a man named Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Have you heard of him?
Have I heard of him? Who
It's
hasn't?
a question. Maybe some people haven't. I met a
don't-
gentleman
I don't-
here last time that hadn't, but it's okay.
I
Have you
don't
heard of
believe
him?
That. It has to be living under a rock.
Maybe he does live under a rock. I don't know. Yeah. There's a lot of rocks in Nottingham.
I have Muslims in my family.
Okay, so then you have heard of him.
I grew up in Muslim countries.
What countries?
I've spent 5 different countries.
Which countries?
Do you want a list?
There's 5. You can name them pretty quick. It's not that difficult.
Well, Malaysia.
You lived in Malaysia?
Yeah.
Where in Malaysia?
Morocco, in the capital and in the south.
Which is what?
There's KL
Kuala Lumpur.
and Johor Bahru.
Oh, nice.
down in the
Beautiful
south.
country. Malaysia. I love it. I've been there. Love the people.
Sure.
Go ahead. Morocco.
I've lived in Morocco, Tunisia. In fact, I'm going to Tunisia in 4 weeks.
Do you like it?
I love it. I'm going to retire there.
I love Tunisia too. Morocco. I haven't been there, but inshallah coming. Where else?
Great.
2 more countries to go.
Which ones have I said? Oh, Turkey.
You lived in Turkey.
Only for a short while.
How long?
Oh, just a few months. That's it.
That's more vacation than living. All right. How'd you like Turkey?
Yeah, I loved it.
Okay, good. Where else?
Istanbul was brilliant.
Gotcha. Go
Loved
ahead.
it.
This is just me getting to know you as a person. Go ahead. What's the fifth country?
Which ones have I said? Malaysia?
You forgot already?
Dubai? Well, you know.
If you lived somewhere, you'd pretty remember, man, unless you're just kind of making these up. But okay, Malaysia, Tunisia, Morocco, Turkey is what you've said.
I know there's another one.
There is, huh?
Yeah.
You lived there and you forgot the name of the country?
Well, I've lived in a lot of countries.
Really? Are you
Sorry, Michael. We just got our.
How you doing?
I just wanted to tell you do some fantastic work.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
He's not
Perfect.
I'm on my path. to
Inshallah,
Islam. Thanks to
inshallah.
you, yeah. Muhammad
May Allah
Hijab.
bless you.
Yeah.
MashaAllah. Excellent.
Thank you.
Barakallah feek. Thank you.
Do you have a point to this?
I do. Well, I mean, I'm just getting to know you. What's the fifth country?
I can't remember.
Really? You lived in a country, you can't remember the name?
Move on, please.
I'm kind of... Man,
Just move on.
No,
Yeah, I mean,
because...
you're doing this for the video.
I'm
fine.
not. I'm
Then move
honestly
on,
not. Let
please.
me tell you why I'm doing it.
Why?
Because I like to have honest conversations. And if somebody tells me something that's not honest, it kind of tells me something about the person. So if you lived in a country, you would definitely remember the name of it. You just threw
You made
five...
your point. Move on.
Can I finish? I'll make my point
Yeah.
when I'm finished, if you don't mind. Thank you. So this is the thing with a lot of people. They say things, I know Islam, I've lived in Muslim countries, I've done this. You threw the number 5 and you can't even remember the fifth country, which kind of makes me doubt your claim. But that's okay. It doesn't even matter if you live in Muslim countries or not. That's just getting to know how honest of a person you are. Now, you said you know about the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. How could a man who could not read or write bring forth such a literary work that the linguists of the time, the poets of that time, could not bring something like it?
Well, I disagree with the fact that they couldn't bring anything like it.
Okay.
It's basically saying, it's saying in the Quran that you can't match it.
Okay.
And nobody's ever tried.
Really?
As far as we
Nobody
know.
tried?
Well, do we have evidence that people tried?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's assume that somebody tried.
Do you want me to tell you about it?
Okay. Go ahead.
So you made 2 incorrect statements, just to be clear. The first thing you said is that people could match it. Second thing you said is nobody tried. First thing, we know Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, and others, they went to the poets of Arabia. You can look up, and I'm not even Muslim resources. If you look up Karen Armstrong or Martin Links, or you can look at other Western writers that have written about this, that those poets, they put together works. Even Musaylim al-Kadhdhab, do you know who he is? Oh, then maybe you need to research a little bit more, huh? All right, Musaylim al-Kadhdhab was a false prophet at that time who tried to come up with a book like the Quran and miserably failed. The An-Nadir and others that were poets in the time of Jahiliyyah, they were paid by the Quraysh to try to come up with a book like it, and they all failed, even though they were poets. And the Prophet, can I finish?
Yeah.
I mean, because you didn't know about this, I want to help you learn, educate you, so then you can speak with knowledge, not ignorance, right? So many tried at that time. This is documented in books of history. You can look up the biographies of the Prophet, written by non-Muslims and Muslims, and they document that they tried. In fact, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, according to the consensus of the people of the biographies, the ulama of what we call maghazi, the biography of the Prophet, peace be upon him, he could not read or write. And he never wrote a poem. The poets, they used to write 10,000 line poems. There is a book called Alfiya ibn Malik, this for your notes. And there is an explanation called Sharh ibn Aqil. I studied this book. In it, they bring forth the poetry from the pre-Islamic era, and it talks about those poets and how eloquent they were. But when they heard the Quran, the likes of Hassan ibn Thabit, you know who that is? You need to learn. You're coming out here making claims without knowledge. Hassan ibn Thabit was a poet. When he heard the Quran, he accepted Islam. He became Muslim. Banu Tamim is a tribe. Have you heard of it? And you need to spend more time in Muslim countries. Banu Tamim were poets. They were an eloquent, huge tribe. When the Quran was recited, they said, we swear by Allah, nobody could bring this except the Creator. None of our poets could match this. Hence, they became Muslim. So that means people did try and fail. How is that?
Well, first question I would ask you is,
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
My granddad is 105 years old.
That's great. Brother, we're in a conversation. Jazakallah khair.
Sadarkium. Peace up.
I'm not a
granddad
peer.
is 105 years old.
May Allah give him long life.
Second World War veteran from Neugiev. Alhamdulillah.
Sorry, it's your people, not mine. So.
No,
Alhamdulillah.
Not my people either.
Well, I'm not from here. I'm from the U.S., bro. So. All right, go ahead. So how could it be?
Let me
Go ahead,
let me just ask you,
please.
who actually decides whether somebody has bettered the Quran or not?
Excellent. Good question. So at that time, Arabian society, the different tribes, non-Muslims as well, many of them were enemies of the Prophet, peace be upon him. They looked at the writing of Musaylim al-Kadhdhab and laughed at it. And they told all those poets that you have not been able to bring a book like it. Not just the Muslim society, but the non-Muslim, by agreement, said nobody could bring anything like the Quran. It was so eloquent, so beautiful, that poets couldn't match it. And that challenge stands. Even recently, for your information, what is called the 700 Club, it's a Christian organization out of the US. And the thing about in the 90s, they paid professors to come up with a book like the Quran. You can look up the actual project, and they failed. They
Sorry,
said,
say that again?
there's a thing called the 700 Club. Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay, it's a Christian organization in the US.
yeah.
Has TV channels, huge.
okay.
They gathered lots of funds, millions of dollars,
Yeah.
to do a project to make something like the Quran. And they failed. They were unable to. They said, when we make the we're unable to put the rulings and regulations. And when you put the rulings and regulations, we lose the beauty of the language. So that means from the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, till our time, nobody has been able to match that challenge. Many have tried. I've given you the references. You can go look them up.
But I'm not saying they haven't tried.
You did earlier.
I'm saying, well,
We
what
do
I
have
mean-
video for it. So
Okay. What I'm saying is, if people were to try, who actually makes the decision
okay.
as to whether it's better or worse or the same? Who actually decides? The people by consensus?
Great question.
Or individuals?
I answered that already, but I'll answer it again just for you. Which is, in the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, the Arabian society.
No, I'm talking about now.
Okay. Today, if somebody tries
Yeah.
and brings it forward,
Yeah.
people like you and me can read it and evaluate and see how it connects with us.
So it's a consensus of opinion.
Sure.
Majority rules.
No, as I said, an individual would make their own decision, right? For example, if somebody brings a book that is as eloquent in recitation, with the rulings and regulations, with the stories of the past, with the scientific facts, with discussion of the future, with the day of judgment, with the introduction to God, all of that put together
Yeah.
in the eloquent manner that can be memorized like the Quran, that can be taught like the Quran, that we can derive all of the Arabic language rulings from it like the Quran, I would love to see it. Haven't seen it yet? 1400 plus years? Have you?
No. Well, I don't know.
So that's a good question.
I
People
would
have
think-
tried, and till today, they have
But you
failed.
just said people have a consensus of opinion as to whether it can be bettered.
Once again, I did not say that. I said there would be a consensus in society, but an individual would make their own decision.
Well, yeah.
You would make your own
I'd
decision.
make my own decision.
Right, but is there a book like that?
Well, is there a book like that? I haven't read every book in the world,
Once
so
again,
I couldn't tell you if
I
there's
didn't.
a book like that.
I didn't ask you if you read every book in the world.
Well, I would have
You-
to be able to answer that question.
Can I finish?
Sure.
Thank you. First, you said nobody has tried.
Well,
Right? That's on video, so don't say you didn't. And then when I gave you evidence of those that had tried from the past and the present and failed, then
Well, I don't disagree with that.
okay. How would you
You've
disagree?
assumed that they failed.
Okay.
But go on.
Musaylim al-Kadhdhab, it's not me. His own people told him you have failed. Okay?
So that's an opinion.
That's an opinion.
Right.
That
So that
went,
doesn't mean they fail. That's just the guy has an opinion that somebody's failed.
So, was it a book that brought a change like the Quran?
Say that again? Was it a
Musaylim al-Kadhdhab's
Yeah.
work in trying to make something like the Quran, did it bring an effect like the Quran?
I have no idea. I haven't read his book.
Okay. So the fact that you haven't read it shows he failed. because it did not guide. Hold on.
Just
Can I,
because I
can
haven't read it
can I
doesn't mean
finish?
he failed.
Can I finish?
Sure.
Okay. Now, the Quran, it brought a change in the world. Today, there's almost 2 billion people who benefit from the Quran.
Harry Potter brought change in the
Can
world.
Can I finish?
Yeah, okay.
You cannot compare Harry Potter and the Quran because the Quran has legal rulings. Quran has ahkam, sharia, how to live, how not to live, punishments, laws. It has news of the future. It has prophecies that came true about the battles between Romans and Persians and who would win. Harry Potter is a fictional book.
yours.
So if it's a fictional book,
Yeah.
how would a man in a desert know that salt water and sea water touch but don't mix?
He wouldn't know that.
Then how come it's in the Quran?
Well,
Yes.
first of all, people living on, most people, when they formed a community, they usually formed it at the mouth of a river. And they were aware that the river water coming past was free of salt, and the water in the sea was salt.
You
they
just
knew
said
that.
you just said
They
he
already knew
wouldn't
that.
know that.
Well,
Earlier, right now, is it on video?
Yeah.
How would a man in a desert know that salt water and sea water touch but don't mix?
he wouldn't know that.
Then did you guys hear him say? He just said he wouldn't know that, and now you're saying he
Well,
would know that.
He might not know that because if he doesn't go and test the water, he wouldn't know it.
So he wouldn't know it.
Well, he might do because if he tested the water, then he would know it. I'm saying,
of you.
Can-
I've got 15 minutes
I'm,
Go
I'm
ahead.
saying it could be either.
Just 1 second,
Okay,
I'm just trying to
less
help
than
you, brother.
15
Go ahead. How would the Prophet Muhammad have known, peace and blessings be upon him, that the sun has an orbit?
Well, he sees it go across the sky.
The sun.
Yes.
You think the sun going across the sky means it's moving in an orbit? Or is the earth rotating?
It observes. It appears.
I mean, clouds go across the sky, they don't have an orbit, right? So when you see the sun going across the sky, it doesn't tell you it has an orbit. Even scientists till very recently didn't believe the sun had an orbit. The sun going across the sky is from the day and the night, the movement of the earth, as the Quran talks about the
Yeah,
day and the
it's
night.
about observation.
So the sun moving in its orbit cannot be observed by the human eye.
It's observed crossing the sky.
Okay. When the sun
You're just playing semantics.
Can I speak?
Yeah, of course.
When the sun goes across the sky,
It
is the
appears to
sun
be-
moving or is the earth moving?
Well, it appears
Uh-huh.
that the sun is moving.
Okay. Which one is moving?
The opposite.
Okay. Does the earth move?
Yes.
Can you observe the movement of the earth?
No, because you're on it.
Okay. So when the Quran talks about the planets, including earth, being in an orbit, how would the Prophet know about that?
Because he can see it.
He could what?
He can see it.
He can see the earth moving.
No, he can see the sun and the moon moving.
Okay.
Not the earth.
So again, you're contradicting yourself because either you say that the sun. Can I finish?
Yeah.
Either you say the sun moving and the
Yeah.
moon moving across the sky would allude to that having an orbit,
Yes.
and the earth not moving would make you
Yes.
think it doesn't have an orbit.
Yeah.
But the Quran tells us that the planets like earth also have an orbit. So if the Prophet saw the sun moving and didn't see the earth moving, then how would he know the earth and planets like it have an orbit?
So where does it say Earth has an orbit?
The Quran, all the planetary bodies, yasbahun, they go in their orbit. Surah Al-Anbiya.
So
Have you read the Quran?
yes.
Then you missed that part?
Well, I didn't study it. at
Well, then
depth.
maybe you should.
Well, what I'm saying is
Then you should.
it. What it's
Take a deep breath,
suggesting-
relax.
Yeah, what it's saying. The verse that I'm referring to. I can't remember the actual verse.
Okay.
But it's saying that the sun and the moon are moving each in their own orbit.
Okay.
And the fact that the moon is actually orbiting the Earth, that's the observed opinion.
I will let you finish.
And it's the same with the sun. And I think that the Quran is referring to the sun being in an orbit the same as the moon.
I will let you finish.
And the reason I think that is because in the Quran it says that the sun casts a shadow. on the earth.
Where does it say that?
Sorry, James. Yeah,
How you doing?
I've got to go. My son's leaving the country.
Where's the evidence for what you just said?
I'll love to catch up with you, but my son
Okay.
is leaving the country, and I have to
Have
spend some
a
time
safe
with him.
trip. Thank you.
ومن